Okay, part B of the candy box one, it's having us do a method called remove next by flavor, which again kind of like the name tells it what it's going to do. So it's going to pass in a flavor, which is a string, and try to find the next piece of candy that has that name. Okay, and the only part that's kind of weird is it searches. It says this again. This explanation, it says start on the last row and then go left to right. So that means basically start here and then go left to right. Okay, so that's the only part that's a little weird. But maybe I'll draw it out here on this page. So like what it's going to do is it's going to start searching for whatever candy here and go across to see if it can find it. And then if it doesn't find it there, then it goes here next and searches. And then it goes up here next and searches. If it doesn't find it at all, it returns no. Okay, if it does find it, it just returns that candy object, I think, and then sets that spot to be null. I think that's what it returns. Yeah, it returns a piece of candy object here. So anyway, so let's look at the example. So they say move by cherry. So it's going to start on the last row and go left to right. So it's going to find it right away. Ding, 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 ding. So it just returns this off and puts null here. Okay, and so the result is we return this, and then this array no longer has that piece of candy there. Okay, and then just a couple other examples. So it says now if we did lime, it's going to search all the way through here, not find lime. Then it's going to search all the way through here, I think, and it's going to find lime here. Yeah, row 1, column. Returns a candy object. Look at it, row 1, column 3. I'm a little confused. Sorry, I had the wrong image there. So I figured it out. So it's going to call lime next. So this cherry got taken out, and then we're going to call it with lime. So when it looks for lime, it goes this way, doesn't find it. Then it comes here, and then it finds the lime here. So it returns that out and puts null there. So this was the updated image. That's why I was confused. So the updated image, this one, they took the lime out there, because when it called it by lime, it found it there. So it returns that piece of candy, and now this spot is null. Okay, and then the final example they give is if you try it with grape, it's not going to find grape. So it's going to go all the way through, going left to right through each row, and go all the way to here and say, nope, I didn't find it. So basically, I think we just got to do nested loops, right? And once both nested loops end, if we didn't find it, we just return false. And so kind of the idea is the row loop, normally the row starts here and goes down, but we're just going to do the opposite of that. We're going to start at row at length -1. No, so number of rows -1, I guess. So this would be box.length, which is 3, but then -1. So we're going to start R there and go R greater than or equal to 0, because we do always want to go to the 0 spot. And then for each row, we just loop across the columns normal, which is our normal loop of column will start at 0 and go less than the number of columns, which is box, position, whatever. I usually use 0.length. Okay, and that'll loop through the columns. So the rows is just backwards. Normally we go 0 less than the length. Now we're going to start at length -1 and go to 0. Okay, so let's take a look at the code here. So basically, let's do our for loops like we talked about. For int r equals box dot length -1. And again, the box is just this global variable. It's a 2D array of candy objects. All right, so we have access to it in our method here. And then we do r greater than or equal to 0 minus r. Okay, and then we're going to do the columns like normal. So int c equals 0, c is less than box 0.length plus c. And then we're going to do an if check. So we do got to make sure it's not null. I just thought about that for a second there. It's going to blow up if it's null. So I want to check, because I can't, basically I've got to do box position rc, and I have to get the flavor. So I have to call get flavor. Let's see, flavor. And I want to see if that equals the flavor that they give us, right? Which is the flavor that's being passed in right here. But this dot equals check is going to blow up if this object is null. So I gotta probably do an if that object is not equal to null. Whoops. So not equal to null, and the flavor equals the flavor being passed in. So I call get flavor, check it against this flavor. Okay, and remember, this is how short circuit evaluation works. Like, if it is null here, this will be false, and then it won't even do the rest of the AND, because it'll be false and whatever, and so it doesn't even run this code, which is what we want. Otherwise, we get a null pointer exception. Okay, anyway, so if it's not null and the flavor equals the flavor coming in, then I'm just going to return that. And so when I first wrote this code, I just returned box RC and said, hey, there we go, I returned that piece of candy. But we also got to set this spot to be null. So then I was like, okay, now I'm going to do box RC equals null. And I got to do that before the return, right? Because if any lines after the return aren't even going to run. So that was like, well, I got to set it to null first, then return it. But then I thought, well, now I'm just returning null because I just set it to null and I just, returned that spot. So that's no good. So this is kind of annoying, but I think you have to make a temp piece of candy. I think you have to do like candy temp equals whatever's in that spot. Okay, and then you can set it to null. So now I can correctly set it to null. And then now I can just return, I don't want to return this because this is again null because I just set it on the previous line, but now I can return that temp that I stored right away. Right, so I think that should work. Hopefully get around that problem. Okay, and then the final thing is like if we couldn't find anything, then we got to return null. And so that happens after the two loops. So let me just check to make sure. I'm pretty sure that's what it says in the directions. Return null if you can't find it. Yeah, return null. Okay, so that fits that null case. All right, I think that should be it. Leave me a comment if I messed it up or something. But all right, thanks for watching.